Hey everyone. So today, we're going to crack the code on one of Python's most basic, but honestly, most important ideas, data types. You can kind of think of them as the secret grammar Python uses to make sense of, well, everything. And we're going to figure this out together, starting with a simple but kind of strange puzzle.
Okay, so let's start with this little mystery. If you ask Python, hey, what's 2 plus 3? It'll tell you 5, right? Makes perfect sense. But what happens if you ask it to add the text 2 and the text 3? Suddenly, it gives you 23. Huh? What's going on here? I promise you, this isn't a bug. It's actually a core feature of the language. And if you stick with me, by the end of this, you'll know exactly what Python is thinking.
All right, to solve that mystery, we've got to understand this one core idea that really governs everything in Python. And, the best way to picture it is with a simple analogy. Let's talk about a box.
So imagine someone just hands you a sealed cardboard box. Your first question is going to be, what's in it, right? Because how you handle that box depends completely on what's inside. If it's full of delicate glasses, you're going to carry it super carefully. But if it's a box of t-shirts, you might just toss it in the back of the car. Well, programming works the exact same way. A program has to know what kind of information it's dealing with before it can even think about doing anything.
And that brings us right to our big definition. A data type is just the label on that box. That's it. It's what tells Python, hey, inside here is a number, or watch out, this is a piece of text. And that one little label dictates everything, what you can do with that information, and, just as important, what you can't.
Okay, now here's the really cool part. Unlike us, you don't have to go around manually labeling every single one of these boxes. Nope. Python has this brilliant, totally automatic sorting system that does it all for you, like in an instant. So let's pull back the curtain and see how this magic actually works. It is a lightning-fast process. When you write a line of code, something simple like a equals 10, Python immediately looks at the value over on the right, the number 10. It instantly goes, aha, that's a whole number, that's an integer. Then it grabs the right kind of box from its memory, plops the 10 inside, and slaps the label A on it for you. And all of this, it happens automatically, totally behind the scenes. So this whole automatic detection thing, it has a name. It's called dynamic typing. And it's one of the big reasons Python is so famous for being easy to learn. You don't have to tell Python ahead of time what kind of box A is going to be. Python just figures it out on the fly. And what's even crazier, you can change your mind. Later in your code, you can take that same variable A and give it some text instead. And Python, it'll just seamlessly swap out the old number box for a new text box. It's just incredibly flexible.
Okay, so Python is doing all this work for us behind the scenes, right? But why does it actually matter to you? Like, what's the big payoff? Well, this is it. This is where we finally solve that puzzle we started with.
And here it is, the solution to our mystery. That little plus sign, it has two completely different jobs. And which job it does depends entirely on the label on the boxes you give it. When it sees two number boxes, or integers, it does what you'd expect. Mathematical addition. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Simple. But when it sees two text boxes, we call those strings, its job is something called concatenation, which is just a fancy word for sticking them together. So it just joins the text 2 and the text 3 to make 23. See? Same symbol, two totally different results, and it's all because of the data type.
But, it's not just about what you can do. The other huge benefit of data types is that they act like a safety rail. They literally stop you from trying to do things that make zero logical sense, which saves you from a whole world of confusing errors. And this quote just illustrates the point perfectly. Think about it. Could you ask Python to make the number 50 uppercase? What would that even look like? It's a request that makes no sense, and because Python knows the data type of 50 is integer, it doesn't even try. It just stops you right in your tracks with an error. It's protecting you from your own logical mistakes.
All right, so we've nailed down why these types are so important. So now let's take a quick tour of the main sections in Python's big data warehouse. These are the major categories of types you're going to work with all the time.
So if you zoom out, pretty much everything fits into three main baskets. First, there's a special type that's just for representing, well, nothingness. It's called none. Then you have your everyday workhorses. These are the types that just hold one single value. Think numbers, text, or a simple true or false. And finally, you've got your collection types. These are like bigger boxes designed to hold a whole bunch of items at once, like a list of names or maybe a dictionary of contacts.
Okay, and now for the final, really important piece of the puzzle. You have to understand that these data types, they're not just for storage.
that's not their only job. Each one comes with its own specialized toolkit just for working with the information inside. And these tools come in two main flavors. We call them functions and methods.
So what's the actual difference? Well, think of functions like general-purpose tools from a shared toolbox. You grab your data and you pass it to the function, like print hello. But methods are different. They're specialized tools that are literally attached to the data itself. You start with your data, you add a little dot, and then you call the tool. For instance, the upper method, it belongs to strings, so you say hello.upper to get HLLO. It's a special tool that only the text boxes get.
Okay, let's bring this all home. What are the big takeaways here? First, just remember that every single value in Python has a data type, that label on its box. Second, Python is super smart and figures out that type for you automatically. Third, that type is what defines the rules of the game. It tells you what you can and can't do with a value. And finally, each type has its own unique toolkit of methods, just waiting for you to discover and use.
And you know, that leaves us with one last, and I think pretty exciting thought. We've seen that strings come with a handy .upper tool, but what about numbers? What specialized tools do they have? What can you do with a list or a boolean? The thing is, once you really get that every data type has its own unique toolkit, a whole new world of programming just opens up. The real adventure really begins now, when you start exploring all those different tools and discovering what you can build.